I'm Ferd Fernandez, and I met Dick Benjamin probably in the late 60s when we were having wine tastings in our homes and having not family gatherings, but 10 or 12 families and sharing some wine and food. And we were actually ordering wine from Washington, D.C. And that led to us ordering as many as 30 cases of wine at a time. And Dick said, there's a business about to be born here. So 4 of us, Dick Benjamin, Mal Goosey, Charlie Alfeld, and I, founded Wine World. We opened in July 1972. And it's been a wonderful experience for me. I left the business in 1977. But I thank Dick for introducing me to lots of nice wine, and I also had a professional relationship with Dick. Dick was a physicist, and I was working in nuclear safety at the Savannah River plant. Dick and Charlie came out to the fuel receiving basin that I was in charge of and analyzed about 3 different casks that did not have the proper safety credentials when they came in. All of them were safe, but they monitored every bit of water that went into the cask. I've enjoyed my friendship with Dick and Sally, and I've enjoyed my participation in Wine World from both sides of the counter, and I wish Dick happy landings in the holy place.
Dick was one of my managers, early managers out at the site. We worked together out at SRS. I was in the meteorology department when he was managing that department. He did a lot for me. He mentored me. We went on a couple business trips. One that was memorable was going out to Livermore and Hanford, and while we were out there we went through a couple of the wine valleys, and we were introduced to a lot of wines, the reserved wines, because Dick was a wine shop owner, and we had a lot to drink. And Dick made me drive, and I wasn't in any better shape than he was. Another time, Jerry and I were downtown, ran into Dick and Sally, and we went to the White Elephant restaurant. The manager brought out some wine, and Dick tasted it and put it down and says, "This is terrible." The manager got a little upset with him. Dick says, "This has been heated up, cooled down, heated up again. It's terrible." The manager asked us to leave. Sally will remember that. So we went someplace else to eat.
Hi, I'm Len Sjostrom. I'm here to honor Dick and to celebrate the fact that I've been a friend of his for many years. He and I worked together, although separately, out at the site for many years. I was part of the Department of Energy and he was part of DuPont, but we got to know each other way back then, and he was, some members of the contractor organization were difficult to work with, others were not. Dick was one of the easiest persons to work with because we had a mutual respect for each other, and that's one of the things I remember about Dick, the fact that he respected people, and he was always friendly, and we also got to know him through Wine World. When they had the shop across the street years ago, my wife and I used to go to their tastings over there, and I got to really enjoy and learn more about wine. And then they moved over here, and a year ago, this time before the holidays, Dick and Sally asked me if I'd come to work part-time for them. They needed some help, and I said, okay, I have some time, I could do that, and I enjoy wine, and I'm sure you could teach me some more about wine. So I started, and now it's a year later, and I'm still here. But anyway, it's been a great experience. I love knowing and being a friend of Dick, and we are so sorry that he's not with us anymore. But anyway, we're here to pay our respects to him and celebrate his life. Anyway, appreciate the opportunity to say these things to you, Sally, and look forward to knowing and working with you for some time to come. Anyway, bye-bye.
I first knew Dick as a nuclear physicist. Then I found out he's a great musician, loves good music, and then he's a wine person. And I became a serious wine person by spending 3 years in San Francisco, and he has gotten way more of my money than he should have. But he was an exceptional human being. As you said, broad, interested in many things. He once subscribed to a magazine called Biblical Archaeology.
Yes, he
Now, who do you know that has done that?
He gave us that magazine
He's a gentleman of the first order, and I wish he was.
Yes. I'm going to have an opportunity. Probably around the late 90s, maybe going on 2000, when I first took a wine tasting class with Sally and Dick. And I knew I didn't know much about wine, but I was amazed how much I could learn in a short time just by being around them. And after that, they were very kind and invited me to come and help them out with tastings from time to time. And it's been a blessing for me ever since. And every time I walk in the door and every time I've seen Dick, it's with a special air that he reigned over the wine tasting. And I loved him very much, and I'm going to miss him as we all are. I'll pass it on to the rest of the folks.
Okay, you didn't have to do all that. I'm going to start crying again.
That's all right. That's what
It's part of the process. I met Dick and Sally through Andrew. I've been friends with Andrew for a long time. And some of my greatest ideas about them is just what they've done with their son. I played in a band with Andrew for years, and when he moved to Asheville, I wasn't able to stay in the band, but every time he would come back to town to play, or even when I was in the band, whenever he would play, his mother and father were there. It didn't matter what bar it was in. It didn't matter how smoky, how rude, just crappy the bar was. Dick and Sally were there. They were there to support their son. And I've always thought that that was the most wonderful thing to see in parents. But that was just Dick. He loved his son, he loved Sally. He was a great man. And with the wine tastings, you come in, he always wanted to be the first table. He always wanted to be the greeter. And everybody who came in here for a wine tasting knew that when they walked in the door, they were either going to get a handshake or a hug from Dick, because he was standing there with your first drink.
No escape.
Yeah, there was no getting out of that one. And like the gentleman who said, Dick, he told Dick he didn't like wine. When I first met them, I told him, I don't like Chardonnays. He goes, no, you just don't like the Chardonnays you've tried. And he was right. He taught me which Chardonnays I actually did like. And he was one of the, most highly intelligent men I've ever met in my whole life. I mean, just insanely intelligent. But I was telling Sally a little earlier, she didn't realize this, but Dick and Sally did something really wonderful for me a few years back, and they didn't realize it at the time, but they helped me out a lot. And I will be forever grateful for them for that. And, would do anything for this family. And like I said, Dick was a wonderful man, and here's to Dick. Here's to Dick. Thank you very much.
I didn't mean for you all that.
I know. I remember meeting the two of you in the late 80s when I first started coming to the tastings, and
of course, I was greeted my first time there by Dick with a big hug, and every time after that, he gave the best hugs ever. And he'd always want a little kiss on the cheek. But, you know, he always, like I said, everyone he knew, he encouraged them to glean as much knowledge as possible, not just on wines, but anything. And he was so versatile in his knowledge that he always had a great story to tell. And he was a great storyteller.
Yes, he was.
And he always inspired me. And watching he and Sally together always inspired me. And I worked with him for a short while so that I could support my habit. and it was wonderful. And they've always made me feel like a part of the family here. And having not had my own parents for a long time, that made me feel really special that I could always talk to them and be around them, and they would always be loving towards me, and I'm really going to miss them.
Bring some more support.
Who else? I'm sure there's a number of other people.
All right, I'm gonna go real quick. So I'm finding I'm one of many cheese girls, but that's all right. I'm loving it. I love working here. I love Dick and Sally. Selfishly, there was so much more I wanted to learn from Dick, and I'm really gonna miss that. The thing I'll remember about Dick is whenever I used to come into Wine World, he would tell me security is a full wine rack.
Oh, yeah.
So whenever I would come in, I'd say, I'm feeling really insecure. He said, you've come to the right place. So I just, I love him and I'll miss him. Thank you.
Thank you.
I love
Yes,
that
sir.
saying.
Well, I first met
Has just enlarged my heart so much because I talked to Dick the night before he passed away, and he mentioned so many of the groups that you all are in that, even though I didn't know you individually, I knew you as groups and I knew his love for you. Of course, I always knew his love for Sally.
They gave us a 50th anniversary celebration too.
Yeah, they just had several parties. We like to party. What can I say? But he was a good hugger. He was a good mentor. He was a good brother. He was always an encourager to Bill and I. We did this crazy thing of going out to Zaire, Africa, to build a hydroelectric dam through the Presbyterian Church, and he was, I don't know where my husband went, but oh, he did. Okay,
He's got his own hydroelectric project.
yeah, and so Dick went down with us when we were commissioned, and he was such an encouragement to Bill, because most of people thought we were, kind of nuts. And but he was such an encourager to Bill on doing this project, and he didn't have much to help or add to because he was a physicist. He didn't pour concrete, but he was such an encourager to Bill, and you guys, he was just such a good brother. He was a good man. He was a good husband. He was a good hugger. He was a good mentor to many of you. He was a good wine person, but he loved all of you. In our last conversation, almost every group that you're in, he mentioned to me and how much you meant to us, him, and to Sally, and I just appreciate your love for him. I appreciate your love for Sally. I want you to continue to lift her up as the days go by, but I've enjoyed your stories, and I love you, everyone. I appreciate you.
The wine is at that table.